Good evening, and welcome to a journey into the realm of the impossible. In this video, you'll encounter stories that defy logic and twist your mind. Prepare to have your sanity challenged as you delve into these mind-bending tales of terror. Get ready to be terrified and confused as you explore the depths of the impossible. Our first terrifying story is the echoing key. Elias found the key in his own pocket. Tarnished, heavy, and intricately carved, it was utterly unfamiliar. He was deep within the abandoned Blackwood Asylum, a place whispered about in hushed tones, a place where time itself seemed to warp. He had come searching for his missing sister, Clara, who'd vanished after venturing into the asylum weeks prior. The key felt cold, almost alive, against his skin. An inexplicable compulsion drove him to a heavy oak door at the end of a long, decaying corridor. The key fit perfectly. As the door creaked open, a wave of frigid air washed over him. Inside, the room was a chaotic mess of medical equipment, scattered papers, and a figure huddled in the corner. Clara. But something was wrong. Her eyes were wide with terror, her skin pale, and she clutched a worn, leather-bound journal. "Elias, you found it," she whispered, her voice hoarse. "The key. It's the only way." He rushed to her, but she recoiled, her gaze fixed on the key in his hand. You have to give it to yourself." "Give it to myself? What are you talking about?" She opened the journal, her trembling fingers pointing to a passage. "It's not from here. It's from later. From when you find me. You have to take it back." He stared at her, confusion and dread warring within him. "Take it back where?" To the day I vanished. You have to give it to yourself. To you that came here that day." Suddenly, the room began to distort, the walls blurring, the air thickening. A low, resonant hum filled the space, growing louder, more intense. "You have to go!" Clara screamed, her voice barely audible over the room. "You have to stop me!" He felt a sickening lurch, a sense of being pulled, stretched, and twisted. Then, darkness. He awoke, disoriented, in the same corridor, but it was pristine, untouched by decay. The air was clean, the lights flickered with a sterile hum. He looked down, the tarnished key was still in his pocket. Then, he heard it. A faint, almost imperceptible sound, like a door creaking open, from the room at the end of the corridor. He ran, his heart pounding, and burst through the door. Inside, he saw himself, the him from weeks ago standing before Clara, who was alive, healthy, and holding the journal. "Give me the key," his past self said, his voice cold and unfamiliar. He stared at his past self, horror dawning. He understood. The key wasn't the way to save Clara. It was the way to trap her. He had to stop himself. He lunged, grabbing his past self arm, the key falling to the floor. The room began to distort again, the hum returning, the air thickening. "No!" his past self screamed, his eyes filled with a chilling, predatory hunger. The room dissolved into chaos, a swirling vortex of light and darkness. He felt a sharp, agonizing pain, like something tearing him apart. He awoke, gasping. In his bed, he looked at his hands. No key, no journal, just the lingering echo of a scream that sounded disturbingly like his own. He reached for his phone and saw a news article. Blackwood Asylum fire, 2 dead. The picture showed 2 burned bodies. One of them was him. Our next story is Mirror of Whispers. The antique mirror pulsed with a dim, inner light. Jonathan found it in the attic, tucked behind moth-eaten tapestries. It whispered, a low, resonant hum, and Jonathan, a collector of the bizarre, was instantly captivated. He brought it to his study, the mirror's light casting elongated shadows that danced like phantoms. As he gazed into it, a voice, raspy and cold, echoed from its depths. "I am the truth teller," the mirror's voice declared. "Everything I say is true." Jonathan, intrigued, smiled. "Then tell me something true." The mirror's surface rippled, and the voice responded, "I am lying to you now." A chill, deeper than any winter wind, crept into the study. Jonathan felt a knot tightening in his stomach. If the mirror was telling the truth, it was lying. If it was lying, it was telling the truth. A statement, a simple sentence, shattered the foundations of logic. "What are you?" Jonathan stammered. The mirror's light intensified, a hum growing into a low, guttural drone. "I am the reflection of the void, the paradox made flesh. I am the lie that births truth, and the truth that consumes lies." Jonathan felt a growing sense of dread. The room seemed to warp, the shadows deepening, the air thickening. He tried to look away, but his gaze was locked, drawn into the mirror's depths. "You seek knowledge, Jonathan," the mirror's voice echoed, now a chorus of whispers. "You seek to understand. But there are truths that unravel reality, lies that devour sanity." The mirror's surface began to swirl, a vortex of darkness. Jonathan, he forgot his own name for a minute, saw glimpses of impossible geometries, of spaces that shouldn't exist. He felt his mind stretching, twisting, trying to comprehend the incomprehensible. "If I am always lying, then the statement, 'I am always lying,' is true. But if it is true, then I am not always lying." The mirror's voice became a cacophony. "And if I am not always lying, then the statement, 'I am always lying,' is false. But if it is false, then I am always lying." The logic looped, a horrifying, infinite recursion. The shadows in the room began to move, to coalesce into forms, dark, shifting shapes that whispered Jonathan's name. He felt his own sense of self dissolving, the boundaries of his mind blurring. The mirror, a portal to a realm of pure contradiction, was pulling him in. "You want to know the truth?" the mirror hissed. "The truth is, there is no truth. Only the endless, self-consuming lie." Jonathan screamed, a sound swallowed by the encroaching darkness. He reached out, his fingers brushing the cold, slick surface of the mirror, and then he was gone, absorbed into the paradox, his existence becoming another fractured, impossible reflection in the void. The mirror hummed, its light dimming, waiting for its next victim, its next truth, its next lie. Before we head into the next story, please consider subscribing and hit the like button. Share this video with your friends. And also, let me know in the comments what you thought about this video and your interpretations of the paradoxes contained within. And for our third and final story, The Timeless Observer. The old, weathered photograph in Amelia's hands felt strangely warm, as if it had held a residual heat from a distant time. It depicted a young man with a shock of unruly hair and a mischievous glint in his eyes, her grandfather, Thomas, at the age of 20. A shiver ran down Amelia's spine as she traced the lines of his face, a chilling realization dawning upon her. She had travelled back in time, not to some grand historical event, but to her grandfather's youth, a clandestine experiment, a desperate gamble to prevent a tragedy that had claimed her parents' lives. Now she was here, standing on the precipice of altering the very fabric of her existence. The weight of the paradox pressed down on her, a suffocating blanket of dread. If she interacted with her grandfather, if she influenced his life in any way, she would cease to exist. She was a paradox, a temporal anomaly, a ripple in the river of time that threatened to unravel the very tapestry of her reality. A flicker of movement caught her eye. Her grandfather, oblivious to her presence, was walking down the street, his youthful strides filled with a carefree energy. Amelia's heart pounded in her chest, a cosmic drumbeat echoing the ticking of a cosmic clock. She had to make a choice: to observe from afar, a silent spectator in her own family's history, or to reach out, to touch the hand of time, to rewrite her own destiny. The consequences were unimaginable, a terrifying leap into the unknown. As her grandfather drew closer, Amelia's resolve faltered. The warmth of the photograph seemed to intensify, radiating a comforting glow. She imagined the ripple effects, the cascading changes that would reverberate through time, erasing her very existence. A tear rolled down her cheek, tracing a path through the dust motes, dancing in the sunbeams. She couldn't do it. The risk was just too great. The sacrifice too profound. With a heavy heart, Amelia turned away, her gaze fixed on the horizon. She would remain a ghost in her own family's history, a silent, timeless observer, a whisper in the wind of time. The paradox remained unresolved, a haunting reminder of the delicate balance of existence, the fragility of fate, and the unbreakable chains of causality.